Sawabana, kings and queens, thank you for tuning in. Those who are tuned in, I hate this self-facing camera sometimes. It makes me look weird, and it feels very weird. But anyway, a friend of mine, Tyra Baruti, requested that I talk about the connection between the lack of economics in the neighborhood and violence. And on here, she goes by Go Get Crown. I don't know if it's an underscore in there or not. And those of you who are tuned in, this thing never works for me, so I can never see. Maybe I got to keep it turned straight up. I can never see who's logging on or who's talking to me. And somebody gave me hearts already, and I didn't even talk about anything yet. So thank you so much. All right, so the connection between the lack of economics in the neighborhood and the violence in the neighborhood. Now, before I go into that, if you guys have anything specific that you want me to talk about, go to my Instagram or my Twitter at mchantspeaks, the same as it is on here. And let me know what it is that you might want me to discuss concerning empowering our people or educating our people, whatever it might be. If I have any knowledge on the subject, I will talk about it or I will research it and get back to you. So do that. Now, so back to the subject at hand. The connection between the lack of economics and violence. Now, I'm going to take it a little bit further because it's going to be a little bit more than just violence. It's just going to be complete degradation, complete hopelessness, complete despair. And the degradation, the hopelessness, and the despair is what then begins to create the violence. So now we have to begin to ask ourselves, how do we get in this predicament? Or was it planned? Did somebody plan for us to be in this predicament for a certain reason? Now, economics is the brand of knowledge of production, consumption, what's the production, consumption, and the transfer of wealth. So that's what economics is. It's the branch of knowledge of production, consumption, and the transfer of wealth. So it's the education that you have, it's the understanding that you have of production, of consumption, and how wealth is transferred. And an economy is a country or region, or in our place, a neighborhood's wealth, especially in pertaining to production and consumption of products or services. Now, the key to economics and an economy is the same words you hear over and over again: production and consumption. Now, one thing that we really don't have as a black people, period, is production. And we don't understand consumption. I might go a little bit off of the violence right now, but just dealing with the whole understanding of economy and economics, because if we understand the economy and if we understand economics, then we can counter some of this violence. So first we got to deal with this. So now, what is our knowledge of production? Do we think about production? Now, production is somebody who is not from scratch, but putting a product together. So it's like, all right, well, we buy sneakers, but Nike actually makes the sneakers. So they then can dictate the price of the sneaker. They can hire people to make the sneaker and to sell a sneaker, and so on and so on and so on, because they produce it. So now even if I start a sneaker business, or sneaker store, I still got to buy my sneakers from another company, and they will then dictate as much as I have to sell the sneaker. And we see this with Kanye West with his sneakers with Adidas and with Nike. Even though he designed the sneaker and they're the Yeezys and all of this, he talked about, well, I didn't really want them to be that price, but I didn't have any control. And he didn't have any control because he didn't produce anything. And when you don't produce anything, you don't have control, because the fact of the matter is, in the United States, what you own defines your power. Bottom line, what you own defines your power. If you don't own a product, if you don't own some land, if you don't own anything, if you're just leasing and renting everything, or you're buying from somebody else to sell, you really don't have any power. It's the person who produces something that has power. So now, that's the understanding of economics. Now, to get into an economy, the economy is the actual wealth that a region, in our case, a neighborhood, has pertaining to its production and consumption of services and products. So now, what economy do we see in our neighborhoods? Now, this drives me up a wall all day, every day, and I'm trying to change this. I'm working on this right now, so it's going to change. I am upset daily when I just ride down the neighborhood and I just see a Mexican store or a Spanish store, probably store, whatever they are, whether they're Dominican or whatever it is, all of these, and then Chinese stores, and then we start seeing Arab stores popping up, and then I'm looking and I'm in a black neighborhood and nothing's owned by black people. So that shows us that in our neighborhoods, we don't have our own economy. Somebody else has their economy based in our neighborhoods, and we are their consumers. We are their consumers. We're not producing anything. We don't even have any goods or services in our own neighborhoods. All we do is consume. And people come over here fresh off the boat right into the black neighborhood with the business because they understand how much of a consumer we are. And they understand how important consumers are for you to make money. So if I can keep you a consumer, then I can keep making money off of you. So now to my earlier question, is this planned? Is this strategic? Is it strategic to keep the black people down? Yes. Hopefully I don't sound like some kind of conspiracy theorist. But the fact of the matter is, Africans were brought here for one reason: to make white people money. We were brought here for free labor, and they don't want to give up that labor. So now they give us menial jobs to where it's like we're still slaves. You know, slaves didn't work for money. They worked to get the food that they had, the room and board that they had with the master, and you know, whatever they got from the master. So now look at it. If we working every day and the only thing we can pay for are the necessities of life, what makes us different than a slave? If soon as you get paid, and I just was seeing the post over and over again of the kid with all the calculators, and it was saying me trying to figure out how I just got paid and I'm broke already 3 hours later. And so if we can only take care of the necessities of life, what has really made us different from slaves? And has the profit margin changed from a slave owner to a corporation owner? And since we don't have an economy and we don't understand economics, we are forced to be consumers because we're not even thinking about being producers. So now, let's tie all this together. How does the lack of economics or an economy in the neighborhood relate to violence? Now, think about this. First of all, what does an economy in the neighborhood bring? Well, it's 4 things, probably more things, but I'm only going to do it 4 things because that's all I can think of right now. So, an economy in the neighborhood brings 1, it brings opportunity. 2, it brings a sense of pride. 3, it brings accountability. And 4, it brings hope. So it brings opportunity, a sense of pride, accountability, and hope. Now let's start and let's walk through all 4 of these. So a neighborhood economy. Now understand what a neighborhood economy would mean. It would mean that we have all black stores. We have everything that we need in this neighborhood. So we have black supermarkets. I ain't even going to say corner stores. We have black supermarkets. We have a black doctor that's on one block that we can go to. We have a black dentist on one block that we can go to. We have a black roofer. We have a black plumber. We have black architects. We have black everything. That's when you have your own economy. Not you buying and selling. No, there's nothing wrong with buying and selling until we can produce our own. We have to buy and sell, but we have to have the mindset of production, because without production, you're not a producer. You don't have a true economy. If the United States didn't produce anything, that's why they went on that whole campaign about buy from the USA or buy USA made products. Remember that? And the reason it being is, if we're buying all the products from other countries, the United States don't have any power anymore. So the reason why they start talking about make sure you buy United States made stuff is because they understand the power structure. And if you don't make your own stuff, you don't have your own power. So if the United States understands that as a country, we need to understand that as a people. If you don't produce nothing, you don't have any power. So now, so this is the economy in the neighborhood. We're producing our own stuff. We got all of our own stuff in the neighborhoods. Now, it brings opportunity. Now, how does this opportunity look? Fact of the matter is, when we're dealing with violence, 1/3 of the murders of our people happen to black males between the ages of 18 and 25. So a little 7-year gap. Young guys, this is where 1/3 of the murders happen. And then a lot of other murders, I forget the number, happen before they even turn 18. Now I know myself, I got into the streets and started hustling everything at the age of 13. Around the same time as a lot of my friends, 13. And one of the big reasons was we didn't have any opportunity. We had needs, but we didn't have opportunities. Our parents could not supply us with the things that we desired. And all of that was, brainwashing for us to believe that we need all the latest stuff, and we need the newest sneakers, and we need the Jordans, and we need the Versace. And when I was young, the Moschino with the iceberg and all of that stuff. So we were programmed to believe we needed all that. And in order to get that, we needed an opportunity to make money. So there was no opportunity for us to go work at a store because we didn't own the stores, and the Asian stores aren't hiring us, and the Poppy stores aren't hiring us. So we don't have any opportunity. So since we didn't have opportunity, we found an opportunity to make money on the streets. And once you're on the streets, that road is going to lead to violence somewhere, some way, somehow, because that lifestyle just engulfs you. You guys understand I'm a minister, and I don't try to preach too much to you. But the fact of the matter is that lifestyle is demonic. And once you get in that lifestyle, the enemy has your mind, and he can drag you any type of way. And one thing he wants to do is kill you before you can become a force to be reckoned with, and before you can stop the powers of his kingdom. So an economy in our neighborhood creates opportunities. So now at 13, when I'm looking to make some money and to buy my Jordans or whatever it was that I wanted, if I could have went to the doctor that was down the street, or the roofer that was down the street, or the plumber that was down the street, or the supermarket that was down the street, and I could get a job there, I could make the money to get the same things I would like to get if I sold the drugs. But now I have another option. Now, I'll tell you the truth. I didn't feel like I had another option when I was young. I didn't feel like there was something else that I should do or could do or was even there for me. But if there was a black economy, it would have created opportunity. And when that opportunity is there, I can grab a hold of that opportunity. But when the opportunity is taken away, and this is why I talked about it was strategic to get rid of all of our businesses and to understanding that if they throw a big amount of money at us, we'll take the bait and sell the business, because we never had $500,000 at one time. Not thinking about, well, if you're making $100,000 a year, in 5 years you made the $500,000. But we wasn't thinking that way. So they bought the businesses, stripped us of our economy, and they stripped us of our opportunity. So now without opportunity, I end up going down a path that is going to end up in violence, because the enemy wants to kill us. Satan wants to kill us. He wants to get us out of here. He wants to get us to die in sin, die in all our messed upness. Yeah, I just made that word up. Messed upness. He wants us to die in it so he can take us to hell. So once you go down that pathway, you have no opportunity. The enemy grabs a hold of you, takes you where he wants to take you, and it ends up in violence. Now, the second thing that the economy or economics brings to our neighborhood is a sense of pride. You feel so good. Like Dion Waiters, basketball player, plays for the Oklahoma City Thunder. He's from South Philly, and it brought a lot of pride to us, when he got drafted, especially being drafted so high. And it brought so much pride to the people from South Philly to see one of our people make it. Same what we thought about Meek Mill. When Meek made it, it's like, wow, it's a sense of pride because somebody from our neighborhood that looks like us, they made it. And the reason we have to look towards these rappers and basketball players is because we can't get a sense of pride from our neighborhoods. There are no lawyers, doctors, architects, engineers, meteorologists, any physiologists, all these jobs that we probably never even think about becoming. No research scientists. We don't have any of that in our neighborhood. And the black people who did become those things were brainwashed into thinking that they had to leave the neighborhood instead of staying and helping the neighborhood. So now the neighborhood is deprived of its economy and all of the positive examples. So there is no pride. So we're fishing for some pride somewhere. But when I do have that pride, when I can look at somebody who looks just like me, who owns a business down the street, if I can look at somebody who looks just like me, who owns some kind of production plant, if I can look right down the street and see somebody who looks just like me, who are producing their own products, hiring their own people, it brings me a sense of pride about my neighborhood. Now, when I don't have pride about my neighborhood, I don't care about my neighborhood. So now if I don't care about my neighborhood, it even goes to things that seem as small as just littering, as just allowing my block to just be dirty, as allowing our houses to just look bad. And a lot of us are renting, so we really don't care about the houses or the paint chipping on the houses. And it creates this mindset where we don't care about nothing in the neighborhood nor each other, because we don't have any sense of self-pride within ourselves and within our neighborhoods. So if I don't have no pride, if I don't care about my neighborhood, if I don't care about myself, if I don't care about my people, how easier for me then to harm somebody that looks like me, that begins to produce violence, because we don't have any pride in who we are. And since we don't have that economy in our neighborhood, it deprives us of the pride. And if we don't have the pride, we don't care. And if I don't care, I'll do anything. The third thing is, an economy brings accountability. Now, that might sound a little bit strange, but I'm going to tell you how it brings accountability. Now, sorry for this, but my life lens is through the streets, because that's where I was raised at. So a lot of my analogies are from the streets. So now, when we was hustling and, doing certain things out there making money, there came a point where we realized there were certain things we couldn't do because it was going to mess up our money. So there came a time where it was too many shootings, and we like, well, maybe we should chill out with this, because that's going to mess up my money. Now, ever see the movie or the TV show The Wire, when they came up with Amsterdam? And Amsterdam was a place where you could sell drugs and you ain't got to worry about the cops as long as you don't kill somebody. And if you kill somebody, y'all had to tell on the person. So a guy kills somebody in The Wire, and all the drug dealers grab him, walk him to the police station, and make him turn himself in, so they don't lose making their money. And so now that was accountability. I'm going to hold you accountable for your actions, because your actions are now adversely affecting the money that we're making. So now, if I have a business on every corner, a black business on every corner, I can't have drug dealers on every corner. I can't have people hanging on every corner. Now it's an accountability. You can't be out here doing what you want to do, because it messes up the money for the neighborhood. Now, if the black people in this economy, they all live in the neighborhood, these are people that you know, these are your family, these are your friends. So those people are pouring money right back into the neighborhood. So now it holds everybody accountable to live the right way, because if you aren't living the right way, the businesses can't make money. And if the businesses can't make money, then they can't produce, or they can't, what's the word I'm looking for? Sponsor a basketball league. They can't sponsor a football league. They won't have the money. That if you don't have the money, you can't go to their market and say, well, can I, get this until, I get paid next week. But that's the kind of stuff that happens when you actually have a community and have your own economics and your own economy. All of that is lost. And if we want that to continue, it brings accountability. You can't do what you want here, because it's going to mess up everything that we got going on. If you're standing out in front of my establishment 50 deep, nobody's going to want to come into my establishment. So I'm going to need y'all to move. And 50 people aren't going to be forced to be standing on corners selling drugs if we have our own economy, because majority of them are going to be able to work anyway or own their own businesses. So again, it's going to create accountability. So we dealt with what? We dealt with pride, opportunity, accountability. And the last one is hope. It gives me hope when I see somebody that looks just like me. I don't know if I talked about this to y'all, but I'm going to say it again. If I did already, so what? There was a picture of a little boy, and he was touching Barack Obama's hair. And the story behind it was his dad was a White House staffer, and he brought his son in to meet the president. And his son had a question for the president. And he was scared to ask him, though. So his dad was like, son, just go ahead and ask him a question. And Barack was like, no, it's okay. You can ask me. And the little boy said, can I touch your hair? And so Barack like laughed and was like, well, sure, you could touch my hair. So Barack bends over and he touches Barack's hair. And the little boy says, yup, it's just like mine. So from that moment forward, that gives that little boy hope that, you know what, I can be president. And when we have our own economy, our own economics, our own business, our own production, our own goods and services, it brings hope to every young black male, every young black female to see somebody that looks like them prospering and doing this thing. So now I'm looking forward to what I can be because I see people that look like me already doing it. So now I won't go down that path that leads to violence because I have hope in another direction. Myself, and I know a lot of my friends, we didn't see that hope. And our only hope came from, as Biggie said, either you sling a crack rock or you got a wicked jump shot. And that's what it was. And if we couldn't make the NBA, we sold drugs. That's the only hope that we saw. But when you have your own black economy, it creates a hope. It creates a vision for those younger than you, for them to see somebody that looks like them. It inspires them to be something different. It inspires them to be something out of the norm. I know it. One of my favorite movies is Malcolm X. And Malcolm X said he wanted to be a lawyer. And his white teacher was like, won't you be something, or won't you desire to be something, that black people can be? No, you can't be this. You black. You got to be that. And we focus our minds on stereotypical black jobs. And we just continue to perpetuate that. So that's my opinion on how the lack of economics or an economy is directly tied to violence. Because when you don't have your own economy, you don't have opportunity for your people. If you don't have your own economy and economics in your own neighborhood, you do not have a sense of pride because you don't own anything. If you don't have your own economy or economics in your neighborhood, there's no accountability. Nobody's going anywhere anyway, so why are we holding anybody accountable? And if you don't have your own economics and your own economy in your neighborhoods, you don't have any hope, because all you are going to be is what you see. And what you see all the time becomes normal. What becomes normal becomes acceptable. And what becomes acceptable becomes your way of life. And so we got to begin to change what we see. And the only way we can change what we see is if we change what we do. So I hope that was helpful. Tyra, thank you for asking for that. And to those of you who are tuned in, again, if you want to request me to talk about something, shoot over to my Twitter or to my Instagram at mchantspeaks and let me know what you would like me to talk about concerning Black America, empowering us, educating us, talking about problems, talking about solutions, whatever it may be. And when I'm on, can y'all talk to me? Y'all don't talk to me. I log off. Earlier, I had 31 of my 32 followers on, and nobody said nothing to me, or it's not showing me, one or the other. So whatever that is. So Sawabona Kings and Queens, thank y'all for tuning in. I'll see y'all the next time I have something on my mind.